Grand Rising, Grand Rising. What up, YouTube? Coming out of Detroit again. I made a podcast earlier, but I was moved to come back and go live again. I had a few conversations with some brothers when I was out talking to people about my channel. I also watched a few podcasts. I watched the sister from the Crimson Cure. I watched this other sister, Dee Dee. They was talking about the mixer and how, you know, in Texas, black women threw a mixer and no men showed up. Did nobody show up but women. And it was interesting the take they had on it. They said that men was too busy sitting around listening to podcasts about Kevin Samuels or whatever. So they cast aspersions on why the men didn't show up at the mixer. And I picked this title because I want to talk about the pimp. I want to talk about the pimp in the pulpit. You see, when I was younger and I went through a religious period or whatever, and I was studying to be a minister, as a young man. And one of the things they taught you if you was going to be a minister at any church or any temple is that you had to tailor your message to appease women. The first thing they tell a minister is your sermon cannot offend women because the women hold the purse strings to the temple and to the church because they're the ones who give up a tenth of their money. They're the ones who give up the donations. So you have to tailor your sermon to appease them, or else they will clutch their purse strings and that collection plate won't get what it's supposed to get. This is an interesting book I read. I read it a couple of times. It's called The Art of Seduction. And in The Art of Seduction, it's a playbook on different types of individuals. And one of them is the seductive character. They got one who's the rake. This is the cad. This is the aggressive guy. This is the over-sexualized guy. And he has his methods. Then you got the ideal lover. He's the one that brings you the flowers and the candy and say everything sweet that you want to hear. Then they talk about the dandy. The dandy is the one who dresses real nice and he wears the pink shirts and he wears the yellow and he has the flower in his lapel. And then it's the natural. The natural is just a rugged guy. You know what I mean? And his masculinity is he's the athlete. Then they got the coquette. The coquette is the feminized guy like Prince. Prince was what you'd be called a coquette. Then you got the charmer. The charmer would be the type like Teddy Pendergrass, who just charm and say all the other things. Then you got the charismatic. The charismatic is someone like Malcolm X, whose oratory skills is very good. Somebody like Farrakhan who speaks very well. Then you got the star. He's the one. He's like the flashy guy, the rapper, or the person with the Jaguar. And it goes the anti-seducer. The anti-seducer is the guy that acts like he's not interested. He isn't paying any attention to you. So you wonder why he's not paying attention to you. Then they break down the seductive process. Choose your right victim. And they go on in this book, The Art of Seduction. The same guy wrote The 48 Laws of Power. So when you go to see Passer, his message is tailored and orchestrated to not offend women and to put them in a position to where their only obedience is to God and him, not to a mere mortal man. So this is why they deify Jesus, because they don't want you to know that Jesus was a man. Moses was a man. Because once you start identifying a black man named Moses out of Africa and a black man who's a descendant of Ruth the Moabitess coming out of Palestine, you stop being able to really not judge and demean men who are created in the image and likeness of God. But the pastor knows that when he teaches black women and black people Christianity, he's teaching them to go against their total nature. First of all, scientifically, the woman is left brain. The man is right brain. That's how God created him. The woman, she has intuition. The woman, it was the seer. The woman was the prophetess. The woman's spiritual connection resembled the spiritual connection of the earth. That's why a child can grow in her womb and eat from her. And then once that child's come out of her, she can nurture that child from her breast. This is why a woman can tell you, I don't like that guy. I don't think he's your friend. Because their intuitive process was in a spiritual connection. And their emotions is their physical connection to their soul. So you have women who are emotional because of their connection to the earth and to the water and to the moon. So every 28 days, the woman is going through a different part of her cycle. And she's intuitive, she's spiritual, and that's her connection. And then you have the man who thinks from the right side of the brain, which is logic, mathematics, and concrete. His spiritual connection to the earth is not as rooted as the woman because the man came out of the woman. So you asking the woman to not be emotional and to think with a right brain. And now her mind is conflicting with her emotions, which is conflicting with her soul. This is the trick that pastor plays. Pastor messes with your emotions by forcing you to think right brain as it relates to your religious process and relate to your spiritual connection to earth and to God and to everything in nature. So he confuses you and he ties you to him. That's why the pastor doesn't even want your husband to come to church with you. So you find women, I'm going to church. Can I get a few dollars so she can go give it to pastor who is the pimp? And he says everything that she wants to hear. He tells her how divine she is. They even created in the conscious community, sister queen and sister goddess and all these things. Because in this book, it tells you men are the ones who are visual and they are attracted to what they see. But the women are spiritual and they're hearers. So they're attracted to what they hear. So a woman is looking in her choosing of a mate. She's looking for him to say the right things. And that's what's going to spark her interest, what you say. Whereas the man is interested from the first sight of a woman. That's why when they associate love at first sight, it's always a man saying it. It was love at first sight. When I seen her, I was in love because it was a visual thing. And it's the woman that says, oh, he was so charming and he said this and he said that. And I knew he was the right one after we talked. But these are schemes. These are schemes that's still being played out. And you got, like I was saying, these guys in the manosphere, these guys that are coming out attacking women, they're attacking women with no basis or no information. And none of them are even old enough to really have wisdom. They're just saying things based on their interactions with the women that they've interacted with on whatever level they was. If you was in college with a woman and you had classes with her, then you related to her on whatever the class topic was. If you was a street guy and you was selling dope, then you related to the sack chaser because you knew she wanted a piece of the bag, and she can get a piece of the bag if she give you a piece of the ass. So you related on whatever level you was on. So the level that they want you to relate on now is the black woman. She's unprotected. She's not respected. And she speaks this into fruition, and then she disrespects herself. She calls herself a bad bee, a boss bee, and disrespects other women. You know, a woman can go get her hair done and put on a nice outfit and walk into another room with a room full of women, and the first thing they say is, who that bitch thinks she is? That purse don't go with that blouse, and those shoes don't match her bag, and get to picking her to pieces. And this is other women. So the disconnect that they're promoting now is based on the bag. If I say this and I pander to women, then guess what? They will support me. They will like what I say. They will hit the like button and they will subscribe if I come out against men. If I come out against women, then I'll be an incel or a manosphere guy. And those would be my followers, a bunch of rejected and dejected Negroes who couldn't get the pretty girl in high school and didn't make the basketball team and didn't hang on the corner. And all these things are being exploited because these things are written down. We have been studied. There's a science to this. And the pastor is a pimp. You look at a Warren's looking guy like T.D. Jakes. I seen him with a purse on. He always writing books. Woman, thou art loosed, and woman, thou art this. And he appealing to the woman. And he's being a mediator because he was never an attractive man that a woman would look at until he learned to use the word. You look at Eddie Long, biggest church down there in Georgia, always coming out against the gay community while he was in the closet, using the word, using the art of seduction, using rhetoric, using psychological tricks, appealing to your insecurities and telling you it's going to be all right. Just pray on it while he prays on you. Look at all the pastors. Look at their messages. Don't you see how the women love them? Don't you see how the women just love pastor? They just love brother minister, because brother minister says everything they want to hear. So that when he passes that collection plate through there, they're in a giving spirit. He's made them feel good. He's spoken everything that they want to hear that they common man can't articulate. But pastor can say it. He can tell you how close you are to God. He can tell you all these things. But at the end of all of that, he's going to send that collection plate past you and ask you for a tenth of your check after you've already paid FICO. It's game. And the game is being played now to the point to where it is not only hurting us economically and socially, it's hurting us morally as a black people, because we keep letting the pimp in the pulpit use the art of seduction. The pimp in the pulpit uses the art of seduction. He knows how to dress. He knows what to say. He knows how to convince you that everything else in the world is wrong except you. So after you leave church and you go back to your life and you go back to your job, it's the blame game. This ain't happened because of this, or this is no good nigga, and this no good nigga made it happen this way. And all of the time, it's just game. It's one big manipulation. It's one big long seduction under the guise of religiosity. But you never develop real spirituality. You become religious hypocrites. That's why you see them old women in the church. They don't like nobody but the church people, and they hate everybody else. They can't stand their sister. They can't stand their sister-in-law. But they love pastor, and they love pastor wife. And look at pastor kids, they so cute. Oh, he gonna be a preacher too. He gonna be a con man too. He gonna be a pimp too. He gonna pimp you out of your money. That's why whenever they get brought down, it's always surrounding a woman. If you notice, every time they get brought down, it's surrounding a woman or a child. Because these are the most lecherous individuals, the most conniving of the conniving, the biggest liars and hypocrites ever to walk the face of this earth stand behind the pulpit. And they preach to you. And they tell you these things, and they tell you these lies, and they send you out in a world that's dominated by white supremacy, telling you that your other half ain't shit. But God gonna work it out. Soon as you put something in this collection plate. I want you to read this book, The Art of Seduction, because this is an old classic, and they all read it. They all read this like they read Machiavelli. So they learn how to scheme. These books teach you how to scheme. They teach you how to manipulate. They teach you the psychology of people who already have been traumatized, victimized, and abused. And they teach you how to be their guide, their counselor, their confidant. So you tell them all your secrets. You tell the priest all your secrets, and he in there jacking off listening to you. Oh, pastor, I had impure thoughts. Tell me, holy sister, what was those thoughts? And he like this. And you feel good for a minute. And you think you done been communicating with God, but you've been talking to the devil. You've been talking to a devil disguised in righteous cloth, in righteous names, in righteous rhetoric. So you see this gender divide. You see, I seen one black woman, she was talking about, let me look up this word again. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second, Detroit. Look up this word. I saved it. Hypergamy. Hypergamy. It's the action of marrying or forming a sexual relationship with a superior sociological or educational background. The action of marrying or forming a sexual relationship with someone you feel is superior to you. So you fantasize about a man who's this so-called preacher or superior guy. That's called hypergamy. And because they know that you have those type of inclinations toward power, toward alpha males, they come on you like that. Like the preacher Jamal Bryant told his whole congregation that Kevin Samuels had to go get a fund me because he wanted to appeal to the women in his congregation. He talked about Kevin Samuels like a dog. And then he had to come back and apologize that everything he said was wrong. But this is the leader of the church. This is the same sap that spoke to Monique and her husband and told them that it was all right to have an open marriage and defile the sanctity of marriage. Look at your preachers. Look at those hypocrites that you pay and you give money. They ain't worth they salt. They pimps. They lecherous. They thieves. The Bible tells you that they turned the house of God into a den of thieves. That's why the harlots are in there. I remember one time, I'm going to tell you a story out of my life. I had a girl, she kept begging me to go to church with her. Drake, just go to church with me. Just go to church with me. You'll love my church. It's the Clark Sister Church. Not like the Clark Sisters music. And you know, the Clark Sisters was some attractive, thick red bone girls out of Detroit, you know. And there was a bunch of them. They was the Clark Sisters. And they were singing and you bring the sunshine or whatever. So I said, okay, I'm going to go to church with you. But that Saturday night, I hung out with the fellas and I got drunk. I'm talking, but I got faded. So I had a hangover. But I still said, okay, I'm going to go to church with you. So she came to get me. I didn't even take off my pelly. I didn't even take off nothing. I just went to church as is. You know how they say, come as you are. We ain't going to judge you in church. So I go to the Clark Sisters Church over here on the west side. Every woman that had big boobs, she had her cleavage out and she was shaking to the thing. Every woman that had a big butt, she had a tight dress on and she was shaking and gyrating. And every woman that had pretty feet and had her feet done, she had kicked her shoes off. And we in here on Sunday morning, and I done just been at the club all night, and I'm sitting around like this. And the choir just is singing. The choir is singing, and the breast is going like this, and the hips is going over there, and the feet is going all over, and I'm sitting there like this. I don't remember church being like this. And they just are going. I'm talking about they just like why not? They just being sexy, they're shaking it up in church. I'm like, whoa, I don't know what to do. Because at that point in time, I considered myself a bona fide sinner. You know what I mean? I was at the highest level of my sinitude. You know what I'm saying? I just went because I was trying to get next to her. And she wanted me to go to church. Now I want to go back every Sunday because the church was full of nothing but harlots. And I knew when Pastor passed that play, I wasn't giving him none. I was going to try to ease in there and take me a couple 20s out of there. Because that's what it is when you go there. It's cop and blow. It's Goldie the Mac. You understand me? It's Iceberg Slim. It's Donald Goins. They just dress it up and they make it real nice looking. They cover and they gloss it over. And they lead you to hell. You go to there and you think that you worshiping God, but you really practicing Satanism. That's why you drinking the blood of Christ and you eating the bones of his flesh and you looking at the crucifixion and you talking all this because he's taking you to hell. Because he's nothing but a cheap pimp. And he's saying everything that he wants to motivate you to give him that money. That's why Pastor has a Bentley. That's why Pastor has a Benz. That's why Pastor has a jet. That's why Pastor has all the sisters cooking and kissing his ass all day like a giant pimp. That's all it is. And I don't care whether you like it or not. You know it's the truth. You know it's the truth. You ain't gonna never hear them talk about abortion in church. They're not gonna tell you, go to ask your pastor what do he think about abortion and give a sermon on abortion. Go ask him what he think about the war in Ukraine and see if he'll talk about Ukraine. Go ask him what he think about politics, and he ain't gonna talk about that because that 501c3 tells him that he can't be involved in none of that. He got to run his hustle. He got to indoctrinate you into white supremacy, where God and the angels and everything is white. It's this sister, she on Facebook, and I was looking at her picture, and in her picture, and I commented in the picture, so the sister's gonna know who I am. I commented on the picture because she was standing there. She had the camera up like this, so you could look down at her cleavage in the picture. But then in behind her, it was a picture of a white man portraying Jesus, was looking like this. Down in the picture, it looked like the white Jesus was looking down her shirt. That's how the picture looked to me. I think I saved it. I'm gonna find it. So I get in her comment. I say, sister, who is that man behind you? She said, well, you know that's Jesus, and Jesus come in all colors, and which is okay, that's foolish as hell. He was born over there, so he had a nationality and he had a color. Who that white man with the blue eyes is looking down your shirt? That's somebody else. So I said in the comment, I said, well, the way you taking that picture, it looks like you got him looking down your blouse behind there. So she just laughed it off. But the psychology of it, was she was standing in front of this picture of this icon that she considered to be Jesus while she was showing off her titties. You know what I mean? So the disconnect and the discombobulation of what you're seeing is confusing. You know what I mean? How you being righteous and a harlot at the same time? You know what I mean? You know, the Bible, they say it's temple whores or whatever, but how you mix that together? How come all the priests keep getting caught with little boys? You know what I mean? Do you all ever question these people who shaping your religious ideology? That's why these women, they had one sister, she was on one of these shows talking to Donnell Rollins, and she was talking about how, and then she was what my granddaddy and my old men would have called a booger bear. She was a booger bear. She probably had a good ass job, but being the booger bear that she was, she needed one. She damn sure needed a good job because she was a full-blown booger bear. And she just was talking about black men. She was talking about how, you know, black men, you got to do too much work for them. You got to fix them up, and you got to do this, and you got to do that, and you got to do this. And I'm looking at her like, hell yeah, I'm from the old school. You pay like you weigh. You 300 pounds, you better be able to do something for a brother because he damn sure can't pick you up. He can't carry you across no threshold. So you better be able to give him some money. Let's keep it real. You know what Biggie say? The world is full of pimps and hoes, and I'm just talking about those I know. So that's why we got this confusion. We got this confusion because we got these so-called leaders, and they ain't nothing but pimps. So you got the pimps over here, and you got the gangsters over here. You got the simps over here. You got the working brothers over here. You got the out-of-work brothers over here. And you got the black woman, boss telling her what to do over here, pastor telling her what to do over here, kids asking her what to do and trying to tell her what to do, baby having time to try to make her do what to do. So she's just lashing out because ain't nobody dealing with the real issue. You've been lied to. You've been hoodwinked. You've been bamboozled, led astray, run amok through your religiosity and your attachment to pastor and all the rest of the pimps in the pulpit. They tell you how to do it in this book. They tell you. They break it down. They tell you how to dress. They tell you how to dress like a dandy to attract women. Put on that pink shirt, that pastel, and put that on and act like you got a little bit of money. Oh, he's so fashionable. That salmon look good on you. You know what I mean? That's an act. I remember me and my man, we used to hang out and we used to go to clubs. We couldn't wait to catch one of these suckers in Detroit with them blue gators on and them yellow pants and some Versace shirts with all turquoise and everything in there, flashing their money. We used to call them peacocks. We used to hunt them. We used to hunt peacocks. We get broke, we go out to the streets. What you want to do, man? The bag ain't moving, man. Let's go hunt some peacocks. Because we already knew they was out peacocking, playing the dandy. Because it's all game. It's all game. And I'll be talking about sometimes the rest of these YouTube male guys that sit up there and like to bicker the women, but ask them to pull out a book and show you a resource that quantifies or verifies anything that they might say to you. What are they sources? Do they even know that a woman has a left brain inclination, which means she has an inclination toward spiritualness intuition, prophecy, but yet she's forced to be logical and mechanical, which goes against her nature. Ask them for some sources. Ask them some sources. Every time I come to you guys, I'm going to give you some books, and y'all go check these books out. And I want y'all to think about what I say, and I want y'all to watch them pimps, because these pimps ain't trying to save your kids. These pimps don't give a damn about your kids being killed in the street. These ministers and these conscious community people, where are they? Where are they when these little black women is being missing? Where are they? And who's orientating these sisters to where they come out and they think they don't need men, or they don't need, how you don't need a man, but you begging for protection? We're not protected. I don't need you, but I want you to protect me. Make up your damn mind. They take you to the gun range, and first thing one of these young brothers find out you got a gun, they taking your gun and your purse. Because they never tell you what happens if somebody shoot first. When you go to the range and you shoot at that piece of paper, what's going to happen when the boys up a switch? And 50 bullets come shooting your way at one time, and while you clutching your purse, and you going and trying to remember what this sucker done told you at the range because he want to work you for some money too. You are not soldiers. You don't even think military. You think bickering. You think propaganda. You think bullshit. And that's why everybody on these YouTubes the last couple of days been arguing over bullshit, talking about bullshit. Because these other topics is too hard. And I'm going to leave you on that note because I've been on here too long, and I want you to process it. And I know I might lose a few subscribers because anytime you say something, you know, they won't subscribe. You know, I had one of my children's mother didn't like what I said. I'm going to unsubscribe, and I'm going to tell my friends too. I was like, I don't give a fuck. Excuse my language, YouTube, but I think I slipped. I don't care. Unsubscribe. But I know you looking. I know you watching, because you won't always know that I'm going to have something to say about your ass, and you don't want to hear it secondhand. You want to hear it firsthand. You don't want them to say, hey, girl, I think Dre was talking about you today. So you might as well subscribe back, because I still get the viewing time, and I still get the effort from you watching. I got a whole lot of lurkers. A whole lot of people that just watch. Most of them is from Detroit. See, it's like they say, the people that's close to you, the people that know you, they're not going to support you. It's going to always be people that you just meet. I was telling a friend of mine that today that wants to do YouTube. Don't worry about the people that you think is supposed to support you, because they're not. It ain't in them. They crabs in the barrel. They jealous. They hate you. Secretly. They don't think you are deserving of a voice, because they too scared to get on here. Most people are scared to get on here in front of the world and say what they got to say. I'm not scared to say that I know all them pastors and ministers is nothing but pimps. I went to their classes and I see how they are trained to give sermons and lectures. I know that the schools that they say they're going to build don't ever get built. I know that all that don't ever get done, that they raise money for. They'll open another church because they need room. When I was selling drugs, guess what? I always wanted another drug house, so I could put some more people in there to sell that bag. It ain't no different. The world is full of pimps and hoes, and we ain't just talking about those we know. Coming out of Detroit, y'all be blessed and stay up. Knowledge is power.